What's going on, guys? James Szuba of NUNESmagician.com. I'm joined by my colleague, Bobby Manning, and we got a special treat in Matt Gutierrez from The Athletic, formerly the DO. You might recognize this guy. And we saw the orange versus white scrimmage tonight here in the Carrier Dome. Just curious, what do we think this team is capable of that you saw, Bobby? Obviously, not a ton of stock you can put into this one, but what do you think this team is capable of?
I think they could be a more refined version of that 2017 team that had so much shooting, so much offense, but nothing really clicked with them. There wasn't much from the team before that carried over from that Final Four team. This team still has more veteran presence than we think. Elijah Hughes is still here, Sidibe is still here, and Dolezaj was killing it in the passing game tonight. I think that's going to lend more to this team than people give credit to, along with a talented group of freshmen. The defense is going to struggle. Boeheim's been clear about that, and I think it was pretty evident tonight that defense just has holes all over it and coherency issues. But when you can shoot the ball the way this team does, that's going to make up for a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure. Certainly the defense will probably take a little bit of a step back this year when you consider what Syracuse lost up front in the guards. Tyson Frank, both tall guards, very athletic, long. And you got a lot of new faces this year. So, but with that, I like that thought that this could be a more refined version of the 2017 team. But Matt, does that mean that this team's headed back to the NIT?
You hope not. That team, to your point on defense, did not play defense. That's why they were an NIT team. They were probably one of the more talented teams that have come through here in the last several years.
Offensively, definitely.
Yeah, offensively with Torian, Leiden, Adel, and White, and Gillen. I mean, it's some legitimate
older guys. That's the big difference. This team's young. When you have young talent, they can be the greatest players in the world, but it's tough coming into this team, this system.
Especially in this system.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I do think this team is capable of the NCAA tournament. I think at their worst, they're going to be a bubble team. At their worst, they might be on the outside of the outer edge of the bubble. But capability-wise, I think they can be like an 8 seed if things go well, right? They're probably going to realistically be a 500 team in conference. Sure. I think if they handle non-conference and go 500 or a little above 500 in conference, that's solid.
Bobby, do you think it's going to be another sweating it out on Selection Sunday this year?
I'm interested to see what the ACC schedule does. And we were talking about that earlier. They were talking about it in Charlotte. It helps. Like, you had 18 before, and that tough schedule really ramped it up. The thing is, it took off the non-conference strength of schedule this year a little bit, which helps with a young team. I mean, how those two things balance out, I don't think anyone's sure.
Right. We'll know a lot more come January 1st once the non-conference is finalized, and then into January, obviously, with conference play.
Well, James, what do you think of them opening against Virginia? Some people don't like it. Some people love it. I think it's going to be an event, but is it good for the team?
So, as you mentioned, it's going to be an event. There should be a big crowd on hand. We first got a couple exhibition games to work through, but November 6th, as we know, Virginia, the defending national champs, come to the Dome. Now, they did lose a lot off that team. You think, they lost Andre Hunter, they lost Kyle Guy, they lost Ty Jerome, but they do bring back Kihei Clark, they do bring back Mamadi Diakite and Jay Huff. So there is some of that team, some of that core is back, as well as some new guys in the fold. So Virginia, by and large, picked to finish top 4 within the league. Expected to be really well there. So I think when you look at it, it's going to be a big event, and it's going to be a test early, and possibly figure out a little bit what this team could look like earlier in the season than what you would otherwise.
I don't think Syracuse wins that game. They're at home, big atmosphere. They're playing a really sturdy Virginia team that lost a lot of talent, but
they're so well coached.
They got a core. They're going to be. They're just a little more advanced, especially this early in the year. Yeah, at Virginia, maybe later in the year, it's a closer game. Syracuse has a shot. I think this early, this Syracuse team won't be ready, and that's not a discount on them. They just need more time to get in sync. So, and it's just a bad timing with that game.
Only 2 wins against Tony Beck then under that era, right? But then one of them was the comeback with the press and all of that.
Right.
It's a tough matchup.
That was an NIT year.
Excuse me, but I love that coach. That is one good coach.
I'm not going to make too many friends in the Syracuse community. All right, for James Szuba, this is Bobby Manning, Matthew Gutierrez. It all gets started November 6th here in the Carrier Dome. Keep it locked, NUNESmagician.com, as well as The Athletic. Ciao.